Jury selection is underway in R. Kelly's latest federal trial. The singer and already convicted sex offender is now accused of rigging his 2008 child pornography trial. Prosecutors say he threatened and paid off a girl involved in that case.
Earlier this year, the singer was sentenced to 30 years in prison for racketeering and sex trafficking. Joining us now for more on this is Brad Edwards from CBS News Chicago. Brad, great to have you with us. So break down this latest case for us. What is R. Kelly being charged with this time around?
Hey, good afternoon to you, Tanya and Tony. Appreciate joining you here from our Chicago studios. R. Kelly is now charged here in Chicago with a number of counts of enticement and also a charge of obstruction. That's probably the most important charge that will come out of the case here. This, of course, nearly a year after he faced somewhat similar charges, not the obstruction charge, but similar child sexual predatory behavior charges in New York, and was, of course, convicted on most of those charges, faces 30 years. A sentence for those charges in New York, faces dozens of years if convicted of these charges now. The big one is that obstruction charge, so that's a big differentiator from this trial here in Chicago and what has already happened there in New York.
So, Brad, what would a conviction mean from a sentencing point of view? How many additional years behind bars is R. Kelly facing?
Yeah, it's really a $64,000 question, Tony, because you've got to consider and this will be discretion up to the judge. The judge, 85-year-old Judge Leinenweber, the senior jurist here in Chicago, he has some discretion there. So it could be decades. The question will be, will it be concurrent, served at the same time as the other 30 years, or will it be consecutive? Will it be tacked on to what was already done and being appealed in New York? But then you got to go on top of that. Keep in mind that after this trial, federal trial in Chicago, Mr. Kelly, if other jurisdictions proceed, faces state trials in Chicago, Cook County again, and then potentially another state trial, again, all similar charges in Minnesota. So no matter how you look at it, Kelly is looking currently at potentially at the earliest getting out sometime in his early 80s. If what happens here, if he is guilty and if it's going to be consecutive, meaning tacked on, you're looking at adding on another 10 dozen years. So earliest he could see the light of day freely as a free man would be in his 90s.
Wow. You know, Brad, looking back to 2008, Kelly was acquitted then after the girl at the center of this case failed to testify in court. Now, nearly a decade and a half later, she is in her 30s and will be a key witness in this trial. What can we expect to hear from her when she does take the stand?
Well, this is going to be a bombshell, and it was in 2008. We've got to really go back to then, because 2008 is the impetus of this whole thing. In 2008, in Chicago, in Cook County, R. Kelly was charged with exploiting a minor, charged with sex with a minor, and the bombshell in that case was it was on videotape. There were a number of videotapes. Those videotapes will be shown again. Those in the know that I just got off the phone with say the jurors will be disgusted by him. It clearly shows a 30-something-year-old R. Kelly having sex with a girl under the age of 15 years old. A key charge in this 2022 case is that Kelly and two co-conspirators, who are also charged, paid off the female victim to not testify in 2008, paid off the female victim and her family to not participate, to not talk with prosecutors, to not talk with police, to not cooperate in 2008. Big difference here. Now, flash forward in 2022, we're told the victim, who was the little girl in those tapes, is going to testify. She's going to answer every question that's asked of her, along with her parents, about exactly why they didn't testify and what happened in the 2008 case. Prosecutors say that between 2000 and 2017, Kelly and his team paid the alleged victim, the young girl, and her family hundreds of thousands of dollars to basically not talk about it. And for the first time, we believe now, in the coming days, if not weeks, we will hear from that woman now in her 30s and her family about what the feds alleges is a decades-long now cover-up of R. Kelly's misdeeds.
All right, Brad Edwards out of our CBS Newsroom in Chicago. Brad, thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad.